Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markel.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everyone out there in the Student of the Gun listening audience. And are you going to separate your monitors so that you can see me over there?
Yeah.
Jared has two giant, one regular size and one giant high-speed monitor over in his studio. And when he's doing his regular stuff, he pushes them together. But then when we're doing radio, he needs to separate them so that I can actually see his face, so I can see the reaction. And when I do this with my hand, that way you can see it. Or if I do this across my neck, you can see it. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's history lesson. And last weekend, I was with my friends over at Ackless Defense. I was talking to Zach Hall. We were talking about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and the events that led up to NFA 1934. And he brought up something. He said one of the things that the feds were really worried about was they were worried about the bonus marchers, and that the bonus marchers would come back with guns. Now, if you know anything about the bonus march or the bonus marchers, first of all, I'm not going to do a whole history lesson, but essentially it was a black eye. It was a stain on the history of the United States of America. U.S. active duty U.S. military troops turned on U.S. military veterans and didn't just do riot control. They actually abused them. Many of them died. They burned their tent camp to the ground, and it's really a black time in U.S. history. And the bonus marchers, their biggest error tactically, their biggest tactical error was that they went and they purposely went disarmed to protest. And when they had overstayed their welcome, the government decided that they needed to go, and so they sent the army out to dismiss them, and they very violently dismissed them, and many of them died, and many of them were injured, and so forth. And you say today, American soldiers would never turn on American citizens. I know American soldiers. Well, you say that. But do you think that American soldiers today, Jared, are more or less faithful to the nation than they were in the 1930s and the 1920s?
I'm going to go ahead and say less. I know a few that are in now that probably shouldn't be in there.
Well, and I'm not trying to
just free stuff.
And yeah, calm down. Don't get your hackles up. I've been telling you guys this for a long time, especially if you're listening to me and you're in the United States military. You need to understand your duties, not just to your commanding officers. Is your microphone off, I hope? Okay. To your commanding officer, but also the duty to your nation. You need to understand the rules of land warfare and so forth, and also that you can't follow orders and use that as an excuse for doing what's wrong, what's morally wrong, what's legally wrong. You understand that? An unlawful order is not an excuse. Yeah. But I don't want to get into that right now, but I just thought that was interesting. I was talking about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and about how the government at the time used that as a huge wedge and propaganda tool because the entire nation was just in shock. They were just disgusted and in shock that happened, and they couldn't believe that was allowed to happen, and so when the feds came around, they're like, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pass this bill, and it's going to keep everyone safe from these evil, mean, nasty Tommy guns. Now, at the time, if you had people that went around and said to Mr. and Mrs. America, you're like, well, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the people that died were all gangsters. It was criminal on criminal violence. Right? Well, yeah. So do you believe that, like, the Chicago mob is going to come to Provo, Utah and gun you down? Do you believe that they're going to come to East Pigs Knuckle, Arkansas, and gun you down? Well, no, I don't think that that's going to happen. But still, it could. There's a chance, because those guns exist, and they're scary, and they make me nervous. And so only the biggest, I guess, and it's not even the fact that they banned the guns, although that is a big thing. And they didn't ban them so much as they just made them extremely difficult to acquire. It's that they set a huge precedent that they've been living with, that we've been living with for 80 plus years now, and that is exempting the state from the rules that apply to the peasants. That, ladies and gentlemen, more than gun bans, more than taxes, more than anything else, when you exempt the state from the laws that are applied to the peasantry, you have tyranny. Go ahead and argue with me. Go ahead and tell me how the state needs to have more power, and the state needs to have more things, and the state needs to. Why? Well, how otherwise are you going to control the people? There was a situation in the world, matter of fact, pretty much the entire world was based upon, every government in the world up to the 1700s was based upon the fact that the government, the ruling class, the state, were elite. They were part of the ruling class. They were special. And the laws and the taxes and all that applied to the peasantry and the common folk didn't apply to them. And we had an opportunity in 1775, 76, 1788, and so forth. We had this golden opportunity to create a nation where the government was no longer a special protected class, where the people in the government were no longer part of a ruling class that was elite and above the citizenry. We created a nation here in the New World, on the North American continent. We created a nation like no other in the history of the world. Do you understand that? Do you understand the significance? I know that most humans know nothing other than what's been going on from their adolescence to now, and everything else is just irrelevant. But the fact is, we created a nation where the government was no longer a ruling class, where they were no longer elite, where they no longer were above the people, the citizens, that they were the citizens, and that every rule applied to the citizen applied to those who sat in the state houses and the Senate and the Capitol buildings. They were all operating under the same rules. And in 1934, one of the biggest, I guess, abuses of the American people was when they decided through legislation, and I know there have been other circumstances. You don't need to write me letters and say, there's been more than that, Paul. Yeah, I understand there's been more than that. Every single time a piece of legislation is introduced, if it exempts the state, if it has a specific exemption or a rider that says, oh, P.S., if you're an employee of the state, this law doesn't apply to you. Brothers and sisters, that is tyranny. And if that's the country that you want to live in, rock on. If you feel like you're a good, comfortable slave and that you don't deserve rights and freedoms, that only the state deserves those things, because they're the only ones that can responsibly delegate authority. They're the only ones that can be fair. I don't even know what to say to you. Apparently you didn't take history in school. Apparently you don't know that the greatest instances of genocide, that's mass killing for all of those of you who went to public school in the last 20 years, the greatest instances of genocide, of mass murder, 50 people, actually 49 people and a criminal, died in Orlando. Throughout the world, in the history of the world, governments have been responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands and millions. Millions! And Adolf Hitler wasn't the number one guy. I know we like to point to Hitler as the number one mass murderer in history, but he wasn't.
I think he's the
he's
most,
like number 3.
Yeah, but I think that he's like I don't know why people bring him up. He's like the most memorable because
he's the go-to bad guy.
Yeah. Why though?
We don't go to Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin, the number that they got on Stalin is about 20 million. But then they also said there are a lot of people that we don't know whether they died. They just disappeared, and we never heard from them again. We don't actually have a death certificate or a dead body. They just went away. 20 million. And you're like, well, 20 million of his country's enemies. Oh, no. No, 20 million of his own citizens. That's right. At least 20 million. When you can come to me and say that an AR-15 was responsible for the death of 20 million people or 20,000 people, then we'll talk. Well, what's your point, Paul? My point is this. Right now, today, in the United States of America, the useful idiots in the media are ginning up. They're getting all of your friends and neighbors, all of your soft-minded coworkers and your soft-minded relatives. They're getting them all worked up. They're getting them all worked up again. And they're playing the reasonable thing. And all of the populists, the people that want to everyone to think that they're reasonable and that they can be trusted, they're all posting things on their social media sites and on their Facebook pages and on their blogs and blah, blah, blah. But I'm a gun owner, but I'm a reasonable gun owner. I'm a responsible gun owner. I'm a blah, 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 blah. And so you're supposed to listen to them because they purchased an object. Or what's worse, we have traitors who used to be members of the military or they were law enforcement officers who are coming out now and saying, it's just time, America. It's time to have a discussion. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. I'm telling you. But that's not today's topic. Today's topic is chaos down under. And I've been waiting. This story has actually been in the stack for, a week now. And we've just gotten so busy with other stuff that we couldn't get to it. That's just the way it is. But before we get to the stack down under, before we go down under to talk about this, I want to thank our friends at Duracoat. Duracoat, because life is too short to have an ugly gun. That's right. And you can get Duracoat products at Brownells. Go to brownells.com. And right now, Brownells is running sales on magazines and ammo cans. And do I need to tell everyone that they should go to their gear locker and count their magazines? And if you have plenty, good. Rock on, drive on with your bad self. If you go to your locker and you say that you have a black rifle and you have the magazine or the 2 that came with it, you're so wrong. And you have an opportunity to fix yourself right now, but you better get on it. And I will not be forwarding, or I will not be taking or accepting any emails, any Facebook messages, any messages from people in our gun culture in 3 months complaining about A, they can't find it, or B, it's ridiculously overpriced. Sorry, not going to listen to you complain because you've been warned.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Yes, and everybody should be, every once in a while you have to take a moment and think, do I need to fix myself? Sometimes you do. At least be honest.
You know the radio commercial thing that I put out?
Yeah.
We had some people saying that they were fully expecting Alex's voice.
Oh, well.
But then they heard mine and they were disappointed.
Aw, you just can't get enough, huh?
If you guys haven't seen that yet, go to Facebook and Facebook.com/Student of the Gun.
Facebook.com/Student of the Gun. We've been doing all kinds of stuff on Facebook here lately because, well, we're just using them to spread our propaganda message, our pro-gun liberty. We're using them to spread our liberty propaganda.
I found something new on there. When we post something, I can select a target audience that has, like, I can target a specific audience that likes our page that maybe, let's say, they have interest in Donald Trump. I can select that. So it'll only go to people that want to see it.
Oh.
Which is kind of nice because you know how when you post to Facebook, they throttle you. Like you reach 10% of your full audience at any given time.
Right.
So you can target people with specific things.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool.
All right. SWAT Fuel. Now, I've been taking my SWAT Fuel 40 caliber, and I've traveled a bunch here recently, and I've stayed healthy. So there's that. If you want to avail yourself to the goodness that is SWAT Fuel, go to the SWATfuelstore.com. And, Jared, is it new and upgraded and all that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So if you haven't been to SWATfuelstore.com lately, go there. And when you do, when you go to check out, use the promo code SOTG2015. You're going to save yourself some money. Frog Lube, it's green, it's minty fresh, and it just works. And in addition to that, if you've got a Frog Lube gun, if you want to carry a gun, if you're not carrying a gun, I don't know what to say to you. Not everyone should carry a gun. Soy-fed manginas and people with the last name Kuntzman should not carry a gun. But for the rest of us, if you want to carry a gun, go to crossbreedholsters.com, and I guarantee you they've got a method, a way for you to carry a gun on your body. Or heck, if you want to secure a gun to an object, they can help you do that. It says get your Pocket Lifesaver today. Should we tell people to go to PocketLifesaver.com?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't have a Pocket Lifesaver, you're wrong. But you can fix yourself by going to PocketLifesaver.com. Oh, and speaking of which, Jared, did you see the note that I sent you this weekend?
I don't know.
I sent you a text because I was thinking about it on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. That'll happen.
About we're getting testimonials now. We're actually getting real live testimonials from people who have taken the Beyond the Band-Aid class and also people who have purchased Pocket Lifesavers and have used them. They've used their skill and they've used their gear out in the real world. I think Angel's probably one of the first. She probably used it the fastest.
Yeah, that was like literally a week or two later.
Yeah. We had a recent graduate of our last Beyond the Band-Aid class, and within 2 weeks, she was out in public, and a woman fell and was injured. And instead of pulling out her cell phone to try and get a viral video, she actually ran over to assist the woman. And she said that she felt confident in doing so because she had training. You mean training leads to confidence, Jared? That's crazy.
It does.
That's crazy. That's crazy talk. And we've had people who've both taken the Beyond the Band-Aid class and gotten Pocket Lifesavers who have had to open them up and use the gauze and the bandages and so forth in there to assist people. How crazy is that? Jared, right now, the Beyond the Band-Aid class, how many classes are open and available to our listening audience?
I believe 2.
2. All right. Go to studentofthegun.com. No, go to SOTGU.com. Okay, I don't want. Is this too confusing for people?
No, that's 5 letters. SOTGU.com.
Does that stand for Student of the Gun University?
Yes.
So what can they do if they go to SOTGU?
You can get more information on the classes. You can actually sign up for the classes. You can check out a lot of different things on there. So.
All right, well, we have some seats. I know we have seats left in the next class, and then we're doing a special one in the fall. We're doing a Beyond the Band-Aid Wilderness Survival class, and I would highly recommend that you get your butt into that class. Do we have a Down Under theme?
No, I was trying to find one, but I don't have one.
Aw. I mean, the men at work is just way too obvious, and I don't like being that obvious. Maybe we could play Anarchy in the UK just because I like it. But it's not the UK. I've been accused of
Pretty much the same thing, right?
You know that our friends down under are really angry at you now. It's not the same thing, mate.
That's okay. What are they going to do?
Chaos down under. Aussie cop chick shoots 3 innocent bystanders. Now, before you get on me, I think she was probably trained by the NYPD. Ooh. You're going to get in trouble for that one. Well, it's not, you know what, Jared? It's not slander and it's not libel if it's the truth. All right, the story comes to us from www.news.com.au, which means it comes from down under. And the story is dateline June 10th, 2016. Now, we've got there's actually a little video clip that goes with it. And so what Jared's going to do, it's only like a minute long. So Jared's going to go ahead and play that. We're going to listen to it. And then we're going to dissect this ever so slightly.
A man with a knife, a psychiatric patient running at police. A female officer fires 2 rounds, but he runs around her. On the ground, a woman. She's been shot. She's wailing in pain. Police fire again. He drops to the ground. So does the carving knife he's been wielding. Then it emerges that not 1, but 3 women are injured. And this morning, this extraordinary video is at the heart of the investigation into how and why a quiet suburban shopping centre became the scene of such a terrifying and bloody confrontation.
Well, all right. That's crazy. Now, a lot of folks are like, in reasonable folks, you guys out there in the audience, you're like, oh, pump the brakes there, Paul. Don't be Monday morning quarterbacking. You weren't there. You don't know. I wasn't there, but I've been there. And I watched this video. And Jared, if you watch it, did you watch the female officer after? Did you watch her kind of like shuffling around with both hands on her gun?
Yeah.
And that is very, very indicative of how untrained people behave after, or poorly trained people, or people that only train. They only go and they do training when their agency told them to. I guess what you could say, the minimum standard training people. You see her, she's kind of like just like shuffling back and forth, holding on to the gun. Well, step number 1. How many times have we been told that citizens, you people out there, you lowly peasants, shouldn't have guns? And the only people in the world that are responsible enough and well-trained enough and just good enough to possess these deadly weapons are the police, because they're well-trained and they know what they're doing. And you, Johnny Citizen, you're only going to make things worse. How many times have we been told that? A lot. And you say, well, how did she fired 2 shots and 3 innocent bystanders got hit? How could that be? Jared, have you ever heard of this thing called the 4 universal safety rules?
Yes. And actually, this recent episode of Student Gun Television, you talked about them.
That is funny how on that I knew that recently I talked about them, even if it was on video.
Yeah.
4 universal safety rules. And we know them. We should know them. Now, when we say universal safety rules, do those mean range rules? Like we use those when we're on the range training and practicing, right? And nowhere else? Or do we?
No, we use them everywhere in the known universe.
They're called universal safety rules because they apply everywhere in the known universe where there is you and a gun in the same place. Anywhere you are on planet Earth, whether you're in your car, your bedroom, a parking lot, the training range, a classroom, everywhere in the freaking known universe. And guess what? Jared, did you know that the 4 universal safety rules apply to gunfights?
Do they really?
Yes. As a matter of fact, they do. Many people out there in the world think, well, these safety rules, and why is it, Jared, that people only think the universal safety rules apply to the shooting range?
I have no clue.
Because that's the only time they ever hear them. The only time people ever talk about the safety rules or the universal rules is when they're about to walk out onto the training range or the practice range. You come to the range and they hit you with the rules. And so what people think is, whether they think it consciously or subconsciously, that these rules apply because I'm about to walk onto a live fire training range and practice with my gun. But they don't ever think that they apply everywhere. In your bedroom, in your bathroom, in public bathrooms. How many times do we have to keep hearing stories about people popping off rounds into the stall floor in the gas station and stuff like that? And no, they apply everywhere, even in gunfights. Now, I've told you guys many, I don't know how long ago it was, but how the magazine Combat Handguns back in the early 90s, and I guess late 80s, but I know early 90s specifically because I was paying very, very close attention to it then, was a wealth of information. The people that were writing for Combat Handguns in the 90s were actual, no kidding, gun-carrying people. People who carried guns for a living, people who'd been in gunfights, people who taught people to survive gunfights. Jim Cirillo wrote articles. Cooper wrote articles. And one of the guys who wrote articles for it was a guy named Walt Roush. Walt Roush was a former Secret Service agent. He did a lot of high-risk protection. He did investigation and warrant service. He did a lot of been there, done that stuff. And Walt wrote an article many years ago, probably going on 20 years ago now, about how to deal with a shooting or how to shoot a bad guy who needs to legitimately be shot when there are other good people around. And essentially, he discussed and explained and went into detail with, the black and white pictures that you could do at the time, that you needed to change the angle. What? Yeah. Jared, this is like 20-year-old stuff here. And a lot of people who have gone to good schools, who have gone to gunfighting schools as opposed to marksmanship schools, have been exposed to the concept of angles. How do you shoot a bad guy in a crowded area? And if you don't shoot him, you're in a situation where this guy is a threat, he's a danger, and if I don't stop him, he's going to hack, slice, cut, shoot, murder people. How do I do that without my bullets going through him? Because handgun bullets have this huge tendency to either A, miss, or B, go through the bad guy and keep going.
You mean handgun bullets penetrate further than rifle bullets?
Yeah, actually they do.
Oh, interesting concept.
I know. We had that on the grad program today, or was in the grad program. Somebody talked about that. But, and one of the things that Walt used to demonstrate was he demonstrated the drop to a knee, hasty drop to a knee, and fire up. I know some of you just went apoplectic there. You're like, you can't fire up because of the bullets traveling through the air. Hey, Broseph, would you rather the bullet travel up and maybe fall down onto somebody, or would you rather shoot straight line through at the bad guy and hit three little old ladies? We joke about your bullet's going to miss and hit three little old ladies. This actually happened. Now, I'm pretty sure that Cop Chick missed him totally. She may not have missed him. She may have, grazed him. When they put him on if you watch the news footage, they throw this dude on the gurney. His arm is wrapped up with bandages. So he wasn't ventilated apparently through the torso.
Yeah, it says that he was shot, let's see here, in the arm, the abdomen, and leg, I believe.
Arm, abdomen, and leg. None of those things are really good kill shots, but whatever. Arm, abdomen, and leg. So, and, well, in this cop chick's credit, she fired 2 rounds and got 3 hits. So there's that. And you're like, how did 3 little old ladies get hit? Because she missed the bad guy with the first or second shot. I don't know which one. The bullet hit little old lady A, passed through because little old ladies don't provide a whole lot of material to stop bullets. And apparently bullet went through little old lady A and hit little old lady B and maybe C. I don't know. Folks.
It says here, it's not clear yet if the woman heard screaming was injured from a bullet or from shrapnel.
Shrapnel?
Yeah, because a grenade went off, apparently. But yeah, the dude, the bad guy, was hit in the arm, thigh, and abdomen, and the 3 other women aged between 60 and 82 received injuries to their lower limbs and abdomens.
Okay. Something else that is very illustrative in this is how sheep work. The cop chick is like, she's doing the dance with, and a mentally ill person who was running around screaming Aloha snack bar. But you're not supposed to know that because that has nothing to do with it. And Islam is the religion of peace and brotherhood. And people who support Islam are not dangerous, psychotic animals.
Well, in their defense, they are mentally retarded.
Well, that's true. They've been fornicating with their first cousins for 700 years, so they can't help it. Their brains aren't fully developed. So she's doing the dance with this guy, and there's somebody taking a cell phone video. She pops 2 at him. There's a woman. Did you see the woman in the green sweater standing by the cart? Well, I did. And here's the deal. She just stands there. She's just kind of looking around like, hey, wonder what that noise was. We have a conversely, there's a good video, and I'm not going to play the video for you because, well, the video actually is just dubbed over by a guy. But it's from Active Self-Protection, the YouTube channel, and it's out of, what did he say, Venezuela or Brazil? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Somewhere in South America. And it's a crowded subway station or a crowded building, not subway station, ATM station, right? Guys waiting patiently in line to use an ATM because apparently they don't have check cards down there and they need to carry cash. I don't know. Robber walks up to him in the middle of the day, leans in, sticks a gun in him in his ribs and says, "Give me all your money," in Portuguese or whatever. I don't know if this is in Venezuela or Portugal. It doesn't matter. Brazil. Leans in, tells the guy, and of course there's surveillance camera footage. The guy's an undercover cop, so the guy has a bunch of stuff in his hand. He just drops the stuff. The bad guy bends over to pick it up, still holding a gun. Meanwhile, cop walks around. He kind of angles around. Basically this woman as cover. He walks around behind her, uses her as concealment, not cover, concealment, draws his gun, and he hammers this dude to the ground. Well, what did he do? He did a couple of things. Number 1, he distracted the bad guy, dropped some stuff. Number 2, he backed up and changed the angle. But here's what I want you to know. What you should watch. There you see 1, 2, 3, at least 3 people are watching this guy point a gun at this other guy. Well, 4, they're all just standing there. Literally. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are just standing with their arms folded or their hands in their pockets watching the dude being robbed. And none of them move until the off-duty police officer angles around, draws his gun, and hammers this piece of crap to the ground. And then they all scatter and run. Now, in addition to hammering this piece of crap to the ground, he does exactly what he should do. He shoots him, the dude's down, and immediately what does the officer do, Jared? He goes muzzle up
threat,
and he turns 360 degrees looking for more threats. He takes 100% control of the situation. Unlike when you watch the Australia video, she has complete and total tunnel vision on the guy on the ground. She's got two hands on the gun, and she's doing the I don't know what I'm doing, I'm nervous dance. You see that over and over and over again in these after-action videos, these surveillance videos. When you got cops that have never done anything but square range shooting, they did their qual course, and that's what they did. They did the mandatory qualification course, and they've done nothing else. So when they get into a situation, they pop off their gun, they wrap both their hands around it really tight because it's their security blanket, and then they do the shuffle back and forth just like looking at what they've done dance. Unlike this dude in, and I'm sorry, I can't remember if it was Venezuela or Brazil, in South America, who, that's like textbook. That if you were to like give a class on how to deal with an armed robber in a crowded space, that dude, it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, bam, bam, bam. Excellent video. And if you go to studentofthegun.com, it will be in the show notes and you can watch it.
Good. It's episode SOTG 403. Click on that, and Zach's going to put it in the related video section for you. It'll be the first one up there.
All right, I could talk about this all week, but I'm not going to because we need to end the show. And before we let you go, though, what day is it? Well, it's Tuesday, and that means we have a quiet time moment for you from SilencerShop.com.
Here at SilencerShop.com, we normally focus on making the world a quieter place. Not today. Rule 41F takes effect soon, making silencer ownership more complicated. The good news is SilencerShop.com can help, but don't delay. Purchase any in-stock silencer by July 6th, and Silencer Shop guarantees to get your Form 4 submitted and execute your transfer before deadline under current rules, or give you $100. The Powered by Silencer Shop guarantee. Details and restrictions at SilencerShop.com.
All right, let's talk about our quiet moment. And here is, number one, I'm going to ask you guys, how you doing on that one book a month for the summertime? I gave you a challenge. I said you should read one book per month for the summertime. Take the time, quit making excuses, get a book, take the time for yourself and read it. Now, the next thing I'm going to challenge you with is I want you guys this summer, I want you to choose a blackout day. Now, last year we promoted, and it was around April 19th, wasn't it, Jared? I think it was. It was around April 19th. It was like Liberty Day. But we promoted a blackout day, a Sunday, where you put away all of your electronic gadgets, your phones, your computers. Turn off your computers. Put your phones on silent. Turn off the television too, cable, everything, and spend an entire day. And don't leave your house. Spend an entire day at home with no electronic distractions. Catch up on your yard work, do some gardening, read books, spend time talking with your family, grill out, do whatever. But I want you to choose a day. Most people choose Sunday because that's when they can have everybody at home and nobody has to leave. But for 24 hours, I want you to stay home with no distractions and pick a blackout day. That is my challenge to you for this Tuesday, for this Tuesday's quiet time. All right. That's it. That is the end of today's show, folks. I know that you're probably sad and you're like, oh, did it go that quickly already? I know it did. Isn't that crazy? But fear not, hippies, we will be back tomorrow. Now, your assignment is, you listen to this today for free, right? It costs you nothing. You're right, it costs you nothing to listen today. Share it with at least one other individual that you believe needs to know it. I don't care how you share it, just do it. Jared, is that it? You got anything for him?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. Jared says that's it, so that's the final word. And that The bottom line. Sorry, that was a terrible Steve Austin there.
You need to
Sorry,
smash
Steve.
some beer cans together.
Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.